glad to be back here in beautiful Humboldt, Tennessee with Josh and Phillip Davis again. Phillip, we were talking earlier before the camera started rolling that maybe we ought to sell our services to the farmers of the area because every time I'm here, it's raining.
Yeah, Mike, last time you were here, it rained for the first time, I guess, in 70-some odd days. And then last night it poured again here. So
it's either me or it's Josh, or maybe it's both of us. Maybe if
conjoined effort.
Yeah, maybe if you show up, it won't be so bad as when we both show up, or if I show up, it won't be so bad as both of us. We'll have to start practicing and working on that as time goes on. So we need to schedule some podcast recordings for June, July,
and August.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll work on that. We'll get with the front office and start getting that scheduled.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of current events here in beautiful Humboldt, Tennessee. It's raining. It's a beautiful evening, beautiful day. But in the world, current events going on. I guess first and foremost on my Twitter feed, because I have a bit of a tinfoil hat, is the 3i Atlas stuff. You guys been following that at all?
Tell us about it.
The comet that's going to end the world, that's ferrying spaceships and all that stuff.
Again?
Another one, yeah. Same as Hale-Bopp and all those others that have come before, but this is the most current one. All right, well, not a lot there. All right, fair enough. Government shutdown, that's another big one. That's affecting a lot of people in a lot of different industries, a bunch of different ways.
Very much so.
It could, Mike. It's quite interesting when you go to the grocery store and you got 2 shopping carts full of stuff and you swipe your card, and now they're telling me that those cards may not have any money on them in the coming week, so it could get a little bit shaky.
Well, there's that and USDA reporting numbers. I was thinking that might be something that a lot of people listening to this may have some direct concerns about. Don't know what you guys' thoughts are on how that'll affect things.
So what are you hearing, Mike? What are you hearing from the general farming community about the USDA reports and how it's really going to affect the farmers in the upcoming months?
I think maybe we have a misunderstanding here. This is for people to get to know you. Nobody cares about what I think.
Now, Mike, you're in the know. I mean, you're asking a question, so I want to really find out where you're wanting to go with it.
Oh my goodness, I've never heard such a straight line for introducing the character that I want to introduce to you guys. All right. Well, Phillip, I don't know how familiar you are with Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a good friend of mine. He's paid a lot of attention to a lot of stuff for a long time. Alex Jones has a cousin. Alex Jones, his cousin's name is Alex Loams. Very similar, very similar. And he has some thoughts on the USDA, Phillip. The USDA isn't a department. It's a death cult in neckties. They've got a $200 billion budget, and the only thing they're growing is your funeral. They call it agriculture. I call it aggravated assault on the food chain. If that's where you want to go with this, I'm happy to do it. I have 6 pages of Alex Loams rants.
Well, you've got that interesting, your typical farm hat that you wear, Mike.
This is what I wear every day.
Yes, and so if you want to go there, I see you've got your antennas up, and
so I can better intercept what the reptilians are saying, or as I call them, the reptilians. That was a joke. Yeah. Reptile. I've never heard of such a conspiracy other than reptile. Get rid of water. What a conspiracy that is. Water's important. We should hoard it.
If we could.
I'm happy to go on with Alex Loams. I want to.
Go, Mike. If we can pick up some tidbits here, we'll go with it.
Their headquarters in D.C. is a concrete pyramid built on the graves of family farms, every brick stamped with a Monsanto barcode. They've got 29,000 bureaucrats who've never seen a sunrise over a cornfield, yet they dictate what you plant, when you plant it, and how much poison you spray. The food pyramid, a literal pyramid scheme. pushing high fructose corn syrup while banning raw milks. It's like fentanyl. They subsidize the top 1% of mega farms with checks bigger than most countries' GDP, then tell the rest of the world to diversify into bankruptcy. Their conservation programs, soil hostage negotiations, pay you $22 an acre to idle your land and lease it to the wind farm cartels and the inspectors, Gestapo and coveralls, kicking in barn doors because your goat looked at them funny. I've got the Freedom of Information Act documents. I've got all the documentation. They're breeding weaponized aphids in Beltsville labs, ready to release on any farmer who refuses GMO contracts. The USDA seal, rather, isn't a shield. It's a skull and crossbones on your dinner plate. I'm burning my crop insurance forms and planting sorghum in the shape of a middle finger, visible from space. Now, at the Alex Lums Network, we have all the highest quality supplements that you can buy, all sorts of stuff to help fight the globalists, Phillip. We're supporting the microbialists, fighting the globalists. We're doing that here today with Genesis Ag. Alex Lums. We'll be back. I don't see how we can go wrong with this. That's $1 million.
Okay, you opened something there. Okay. So how when you talk about the microbials,
right, the microbials, yeah.
Yeah, you talk about the microbials. Is there anyone that really understands that arena?
Man, Phillip, as somebody who's been an interested observer for a long time, speaking as Mike, not Alex, I don't think anyone knows. I don't see how anyone could know. But there's people who have better grip on it than most, and I think you guys are some of those people.
The interesting thing that I'm finding is how little that the industry knows about it, and there's a few really, when I say biological advocates out there that are traveling around, and I'll say this: it's an ever-changing environment that we farmers that we plant that seed in. We drive our tractors over. We've got animals grazing on, whatever. It's ever changing. Temperature changes. You talked about the rainfall here the last 2 times you've been here to Humboldt.
You're welcome.
And so all of that changes. And it changes the dynamics of the biological activity. How that crop is signaling to the microbial family, hey, this is what I want. This is what I need. And I think where we're falling short is giving the biology what it actually needs to perform on the level that it should be performing on. It's much like us or a prime athlete. He has to have everything he needs to perform to that top level. The biology is no different. It's no different. So are we supplying the biology what it needs? Or are we putting the correct biology out there?
So would that be fighting big soil? Or are you promoting big soil, Phillip?
Okay, to answer that question, from my perspective, and when I say I've grew up in the chemical area farm, era of farming. I mean, it was always a side to this, we side this, herbicide, pesticide, fungicide, whatever. It's been sides. And so I think that right now where the industry needs to go is a rehabilitation phase to rehabilitate what we've done over the last 50, 60 years to these farms, and how some of the chemistries that we're using out here. I was just at a meeting last week, and they're talking about some of these chemistries. It's 25-year half-life in the soil, this, and how to remediate that, how to remove some of that damage. And so if we've been using those type of chemistries for the last 50, 60 years, what do we have out here? So it is changing. I mean, we as farmers have changed the environment that we're planting this crop into.
I told you you'd like it personally.
I do.
But you may hate it as a podcast.
Well, I think someone would listen to what Alex has to say.
I mean, who couldn't?
Yeah, it's true.
I'm sorry, Philip. This is so much fun.
I'm with you, Mike. I'm rolling with you.
Operation Barbarossa.
I'm rolling with you.
Some of my best friends are Candace Growins, Tractor Carlson, Grow Rogan.
Gro's a nice guy. He meets a lot of people, gets in front of the right type of people, and has good conversations.
Usually about Operation Barbarossa.
Yep.
This is going to be so much fun, just because it's going to be awkward. So, Philip, the reason I wanted to introduce you to Alex Loams is because some of the things you talk about are kind of out there. A lot of people, the industry as a whole, isn't ready to listen to Alex Loams types. But if we look back at Alex Jones's history, he's been right about more stuff than most people would care to admit. He's been wrong too. My hope with Alex Loams was maybe you and he could have a frank and honest discussion about how you and he would think the world works, how the microbiome functions, its place in ag, the future of ag, and human society, so we don't all starve to death after all the freaking farmers have gone broke, after the globalists try to take over.
We're en route to that, though. Whether people want to admit it or not, that's where we're headed.
Alex Loams would say so.
Yeah. That's like the scenario I sent you the other day. Just your average run-of-the-mill farmer lost, $217 an acre with above national average yields.
Yeah. That's not sustainable.
No, it's not. But we still go out and we fall into the trap. We don't change. We don't look for the trap. And
Why not?
That's the $1 million question.
I'll take off on that. So when we are taught something, and we grow up believing that, and we think there's nothing any different than what's in our world and what we've been taught and what we have learned. Is the world of academia, is everything in it really true? Now, let's just say that I wanted to get a PhD and I was in mainstream agriculture, and I went to university and that's what I pursued. So when I wrote my thesis, I would be referencing other people's theories. I would be referencing what, they have, their belief is as well. And that would help me be assured of getting my PhD because I'm agreeing with academia. I've always heard this, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. What if we turn that around and say, when the teacher's ready, the student will appear? I don't think we're asking the right questions. Everybody wants to know, okay, how much NP and K do we need to put on? There's certain guys out here talking about, you need to look at base saturations and you need to get your base saturations balanced. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I think we're looking a lot at the wrong things. No one is looking, okay, how am I impacting my farm by doing this certain practice? by implementing this certain practice, how am I affecting the longevity of my farm? Because your opening referred to some of that. You know, how are we on the road to demise in American agriculture? Are we conscious of that? You know, I say farmers are in a semi-state of consciousness, and they kind of look at me kind of funny and almost are offended by it. I think we've been in a semi-state of consciousness because what we're doing is we're doing what we've been taught. I have my hand up because when I first started farming, you know, I was listening to all of this. And for me to be successful, I said, well, I have to do what the universities say. I have to do, you know, what the local crop consultant, because he's educated, what he comes out and tells me to do. And, you know, all of that's good to a certain point. But we're at a crossroads. Josh said it. We're at a crossroads. We're, as American farmer, we've got some tough decisions to make. When I say over the next 5 years, the ones that can adjust, the ones that can maybe understand what my concept, what I have learned, what I thought was correct, and kind of push that to the side and really get focused on what is actually happening. You know, I've said this before. When the average PhD gets their degree and walks out the door, as far as reading more books about that topic and what's coming new, very few of them ever read another. They're locked in to what they glean from that facility, from that education.
Well, I don't have a PhD, but I do have plenty of pH tests, and I have the documentation to prove it. You're welcome. I did that for me. I've been sitting on that one.
Thanks, Mike. Well, it kind of to continue on with that, it's especially in your medical purpose, all of your books that are published in a specific field are, 60-70% advertisement? You've only got 20 or 30% of that book at most that is about a specific topic when it relates to pharmacy or medicine, because there's just so much money in it. And now we're looking at the same thing in agriculture. It's not about how we can benefit the farmer. It's how do we keep big ag in business, or as Alex said, keep the globalist.
Big soil and big pharma.
Yeah. How do we create mega farms and put the small farms out of business is kind of what they're looking at. How do you afford let me think of how to say this. I won't call it color or a model, but how do we afford a big combine or a big tractor without being a mega farm? Or cotton. Cotton's a big one. 65-cent cotton. How do we afford a $1.6 million roll picker? Yeah. You got to farm more acres.
Takes a bunch of acres.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's a giant treadmill.
Yeah.
Got to be bigger. Got to be bigger to make it even. Thinner margins.
Right.
Got to be bigger. Thinner margins.
Right.
Yeah, my tinfoil hat ain't silver because I'm the gold medalist in ag conspiracy today.
Yeah. Second pays too.
Fine, I'll go back to being more standard.
Because I don't mind, Mike. You're not offending me.
It's going to be the weirdest podcast you guys have ever been on.
Plenty of editing.
Lots of editing. Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry. We'll fix that in post. So, how does a guy get to the point with a new customer where you can talk like they're Alex Loams? How would you breach those topics, or the guys who are drawn to you guys, are they normally the tinfoil wearing hat kind to begin with? Is there a conversion process?
I would say you've got a percent of people that are aware, but the C word called change is very powerful, and fear is very powerful.
It's an F word.
It is. It's 4 letters too, so very similar.
It might get bleeped.
But our people in Alex's world use fear they use it where they can manipulate people.
Fear's a lever.
There you go. You got it. So how do we make a change in a multi-million-dollar operation with any level of confidence? But like my scenario throughout, you and I were talking about the other day, if we know we're going to go in losing, why are we going to keep the same game plan? So,
Fear of the unknown.
yeah.
At least we know we're only going to lose this.
Well, and the sad part about it is I had, let's say, a handful of guys in 2025 saw the writing on the wall. Young farmers needing to stay in business, not necessarily hit a home run because we're low commodity prices, but stay in business. And their fertilizer salesmen are hoping that they fail just because it took business out of their pocket. If we can't hope that every farmer is successful, then what are we doing? You know, whether they buy from me, you, the guy down the street, whoever it be, we all need to be semi-successful, keeping business going down the road. We don't need to lose a multi-million-dollar operation because we felt bad for the fertilizer salesman. So,
less of a me versus you versus us versus them kind of a thing.
yeah, I mean, it's a team effort. It's not as long as I get mine, I'm okay kind of deal. And I saw a lot of that happen this year when guys cut $150, $200 out of their budget on a per acre basis, and it came out of the fertilizer salesman's pocket, and he's mad. He's not thinking, well, I got to change just so all of my customers can stay in business. It's, well, he's mad that he lost that $200 an acre in seed fert chem going out there. So
Instead of seeing it as an industry who's suffering, only seeing my checkbook suffering.
when a guy comes to you in May and he's selling something for $10 and he's got to meet his quota and he comes back and sells it to you for $7, 30 days later, that's tough.
Yeah, where'd that $3 go?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough.
So when a guy is, when do you see the most of that, I guess, that kind of scenario playing out? Or is it all through the season?
Oh, it's all throughout the season. It's you got your guys that plan and try to budget accordingly, and yeah, there's a percent variance every time, but that's the guy writing the check. The guy down the street that's selling the stuff, he's got to hit his bottom line, or he gets ousted. So how is he going to come in and hit his bottom line? And that's when you see some pretty shady stuff happen.
Is there some regions that are worse than others?
Oh, I don't know that I would say that.
It's pretty industry standard across the nation.
Yeah, I mean, some companies sell it in their Kool-Aid, I guess. I won't call any names, but...
Oh, that's all right. Yeah. Alex will tell. He'll tell it like it is.
Yeah.
You can let Uncle Alex know.
Okay. Oh, well.
Phillip, anything you'd care to add on that subject before we move on?
I'll just kind of expand a little bit about what Josh said. It's much like you and I getting in shape. I know you're in perfect shape, Mike.
That's right. Lots of supplements.
Yeah. So you're there.
Highest quality supplements.
I have to make a determination that I'm going to change. And if I know that I'm gaining too much weight, if I know I'm losing muscle mass, if I know all this, my desire to change has to be strong enough that I'm willing to put that effort towards it. We all, when I say want to hit the easy button. We want to take the pill that sheds 30 pounds. We do. We want to hit the easy button, and I think that's what's got into us. And I think that's why some of the GMO traits that have come into the industry have made it easy for us. And yet it's compounding other negative conditions in our industry as well.
Speaking of easy button, only the highest supplements or highest quality supplements here at the Alex Loams Network. Female iron and testosterone supplement. Fe, of course, being iron, testosterone, iron and supplement, and iron and testosterone go hand in hand. Most people don't know that. Get it today. Lose those 30 pounds Phillip was talking about. Easy button. Alex and Jones Network. Damn it. Fuck that up. Alex Loams Network. Infowars.com. All right. I've been sitting on female testosterone iron thing. I'm sorry, Phillip. I spent too much time on the combine helping my friend, and there's a backlog of funny here. It's funny to me.
That's why you have auto guidance, right?
The auto steer definitely hurt this podcast.
The quarter-mile rows where you didn't have to pay attention.
Yeah, half mile, yeah. Just go. Some of them are a mile. Yeah, we go. All right. Well, Phillip, why now, if we're wanting to introduce a biological revolution into the world and change the way things are doing it? Economics are a big one. I mean, that's basically what we've been talking about, is the economics are going to drive us to that. Is there any other reason why now? I know you've been on this biological bandwagon for as long as I've known you. What initially brought you to it?
Well, I guess to answer that, what brought me to it is becoming aware that we needed to do something differently. And when we look at nature and what nature has the ability to do, it's just like when we put out a chemistry, whether it be a pre-emerge or whatever, on that label, it will tell us when we can plant subsequent crops. So that nature is adjusting to that impact that we put out there. And nature starts remediating it almost instantaneously when that chemistry compound, even fertilizer, it impacts the biology. So the biology will immediately start remediating its environment to that impact that we've put on it out there. And so in looking at that, I'm saying, how can we be more biologically friendly if that's the key to life? And it is. It's just like Mike, you've made some references to human health and nutraceuticals or whatever.
Highest quality supplements.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the highest quality supplement for our soil and we're putting it out there, yet we do something that's counterintuitive or counterproductive to that good thing that we did. I mean, I can eat a really good ribeye, and that actually helps me. But if I follow it up with a $14 piece of cheesecake, have I really balanced my microbiome in my gut? And so that's the same thing looking at this soil. How are we going to balance the microbiome in our farming operations?
Well, it's funny that you bring that analogy up. A mutual friend of ours, I asked around. I was trying to make my job easier. I was asking people smarter than me. I was like, hey, I'm going to get to talk to Phillip and Josh. What are some questions? What are some discussion points? And one of them, this is verbatim. If humans ate like we fed our fields, what would change? How would it change? And that's exactly what you just said right there. What we feed ourselves, how we treat our fields is how we treat ourselves or our bodies. It's a very analogous thing.
I think that's where the one guy that's buying all the land, I think he sees that, and I think that's why he's pushing for that. We won't call any names.
Part of the New World Order.
Yes. It's close enough. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Man, there's another deal. That same fellow, he sent me a deal about how nitrogen gets metabolized, or I'm sorry, not nitrogen, how microplastics get metabolized in the soil and different things, and how nitrogen gets metabolized in the soil and gets maybe misplaced in the processes depending on what form we use, when we use it, how we use it, and all that stuff. And it sounded like it was pretty high level stuff, pretty sciencey, pretty nerd shit. But I don't know if that's something that is for wide dispersal. I don't know if it's something that's widely known. I don't know what its status is in the world, but it was an interesting concept.
So if you're going to talk about nitrogen,
Okay.
and you're going to talk about plant physiology, and you're going to talk about if we put a certain form out there, is it not the biological activity in the soil that actually could make that a better accessible form to the plant? And two, if we let the soil biology actually take atmospheric nitrogen and make it available to the plant, what is better? Are we better off doing that with our knowledge as human beings that it takes a pound of N, 1 to 1.2 pounds of N to produce a bushel of corn, and we're putting that out there saying, okay, I'm going to be successful because this is what it takes to do that? Or could we let nature do some of that for us? Could we let some of this biology that we're asking to do so much, let's remediate the soil, let's make phosphorus available, let's make potassium available. I need all these micronutrients to be taken into the plant. And so when the plant sends a root exudate out asking for that, and if we've got an excessive form of N out there that makes this plant lazy, that it's not asking for any of the nitrogen fixing bacteria to supply anything for it, then we get through that rapid growth, and then we're outrunning our biological capacity to make nutrients available to the plant because we've got one nutrient that is excessively used. So is that an imbalance?
Sounds like it to me. I mean, it sounds like if there's only so much in this cup and 90% of it's carbonation, there's not a lot of Red Bull left in it.
No.
So what are we going to do as an industry?
More on.
That's typically, yes.
We learned that last time I was listening back.
Yeah, it's and I mean, I've asked a lot of professionals, tenured university personnel, hey, what do I need to do? And it's typically, you probably higher nutrient levels will get you to where you're wanting to go. I attempted that. When I say maybe somewhat successful, but not to the level that I desired. So, and if we're going to talk about the big N, nitrogen, which that's what everyone wants to count as a driving catalyst to yield. How are some of our producers now that have actually cut their N rates by 40 to 50%, and their yields are going up? I got a call the other day, the first time a guy had ever made 300 bushel of corn, and he said, where we'd been using 275 pounds of N, we used 150. So that goes against when I say what we've been taught. Hey, you got to get that pound of N applied.
So I didn't know about this till the other day, our mutual friend. Phillip, you're familiar with R-type organisms?
Tell me a little bit about them, Mike.
So you're not familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
So R-type organisms rob the plant of nitrogen. Instead of converting it to a soil usable form, it volatilizes. It's just a microbe that releases it as atmospheric nitrogen instead of ammonium. And I thought that was super interesting, that maybe that's one of the things we've been doing by over applying is everything you do, you're selecting for something. So if we're over applying, are we feeding the wrong type of bugs that are adding to volatilization?
It's possible. I mean, we know that the fertilizer we're using is not premium. It's like the water bottle thing. If I bring you a cheap brand 10-cent water bottle, or I bring you Fiji water, you're going to pick Fiji water every time. Yet we fertilize our crop with the cheapest water we can get. And microplastics, fluoride, calcium carbonate, all that stuff being in the water, we know is not good for our gut microbiome, yet we apply that to our fields.
Not the highest quality supplements.
Not the highest quality. It's the cheapest quality.
So let me go here, Mike.
All right.
So I started at a very young age driving a tractor. My dad gave me some freedom, and so on my 12th birthday, which is April the 17th, we were on this one particular farm. And
in case you want to send anything to Phillip come this next year.
Yeah.
So the facility in Humboldt, Tennessee. What's the address, Josh?
1400 McKnight Street.
April 14th. Yeah.
So
care package.
So here's the thing. I love that. I love getting on the tractor with a moldboard plow. It was open station. That's why I'm not able to hear now, because you guys got the straight pipe on the tractor or whatever. And so you're there and you're smelling that earth, you're smelling that humus, and when I say that was just a feeling of being connected. We go out on our farms today and we don't experience that level of that if we're tilling. I know the industry is really promoting no-till, strip till, those type of things, and all that's good. I'm going to steal something from Josh, and if he wants to take off on it, that's great. What we've lost in our soils is oxygen. Oxygen is very critical to this entire biological life cycle. Water infiltration, root penetration, the whole microbiome it's been critical for that. And so what we're seeing on these farms is we've pushed out all the oxygen. And so we're limiting ourselves to the capacity that our biology can do things for us. We get more biology, and it starts. You talked about the mycorrhiza, and you get that functioning on the plant, and you get that moving. Mycorrhiza can actually move even moisture from one area, from a plant that's 20 feet away. It can move it to its companion. And that's not clearly understood, but it can even move water. So I'm thinking the critical part of this is as we get air back into our farms. I think that's really going to be critical for this. When I say biological evolution, that's going to be critical for us to maintain in the next 10 years in American agriculture. It's getting this cycle and getting our farm to actually work. We're working with it, not against it like we have in the last 50, 60 years.
Is there anything positive we can do, or just quit doing negative?
Well, you can tear a house down in a day, but it takes you about 2 to 3 months to build it back. And I don't know that we understand that in agriculture. What you mess up today could take a better part of a lifetime to fix.
It makes it hard to do if you can't measure success in relatively short order.
Yeah.
Hard to build over long term without having some conviction.
Well, if the yield monitor doesn't show it, it didn't work. So, yeah.
Got to answer to the quarterly stock instead of to the long-term good of the company.
Well, it's like a conversation I had this morning before we started this. They didn't have any drowned out spots this year. Looking more at soil health. Now, this is 2 or 3 years into it. Didn't have water standing in the field, so no drowned out spots. The yield monitor, instead of having really high and really low areas, was fairly consistent within a range. And you start talking about what we're talking about, rebuilding the house. It's a process. Can we exactly put a pencil to it? Those guys that I was talking to, they're like, well, we know it's working. We just don't know how good it's working. But what they're seeing is a prime indicator of what we're actually doing out there with, I don't like remediation, but fixing what we've wrecked. I mean, you take classic cars. If you, let's say you got in a fender bender with a Stingray, let's say. Are you just going to scrap it, or are you going to fix it? Or a Lamborghini or any of that. We'll go high-profile cars. Any of that, you're just not going to take it to the junkyard and buy another one. You're going to fix it within reason. So it's kind of where we're at.
Is there a place for old school stuff like what we talked about, everything we were taught in school? Where's the place for that with standard fertility, the stuff we all know? We don't throw that out, do we?
You manage it.
Manage it how? I mean, how do we, if I don't know nothing, how are you going to, how do I manage it? Do I manage it 50%? Do I manage it 25%? Do I manage it?
You start weaning off of it. It's not what you've always done. Let's go 80% the first year from today. We'll go 80% less. Then we'll go 75% less, 60% less, all the way down to where it could just be a maintenance deal, because from, I guess, probably 10 to 12 years of doing certain samples that we do, we're killing our soil. We're not mining it, especially a Midwest soil. We're killing it. Now, this is where the guy that doesn't farm but he rents his land, it brings in different perspective. If he doesn't see the fertilizer spreader go across the field, well, that farmer's mining his soil. No, he's just killing your soil. And it's not that the farmer's doing it consciously, but kind of some points we hit on earlier. It's what everybody's been taught, that one equals one. It's not that 0.6 on the proper equation can equal 1 with any nutrient. So I think it's learning, really identifying a goal, and how am I going to get to that goal?
Alex Jones calls those guys the Halliburtons of humus, the guys that are mining the soil.
There we go. That's a good one.
I worked hard on that one.
Yeah.
It's part of a bigger rant, but
Okay.
But you're welcome to use it.
You go for it.
Alex can share.
Okay.
Last time I was listening back to the previous podcast, you guys talked a lot about team. You mentioned team several times, and I never picked up on it at the time. Tell me a little bit about the vision for the team that you guys are not just envisioning, but building.
Well, it's different areas all across the country looking at, fortunately for us, we work in several different crops. It's just not corn, soybeans, wheat, of looking at how can we affect different things in different areas, and it does act in different ways. But you take your northeast, your southeast, your delta region, your eastern corn belt, western corn belt, your high plains, all that. We've got guys in each one of those regions, and it kind of gives us the ability to bring together a whole team aspect of how can we push the guys that work with us in ag, how can we get them pushed in the direction we're trying to go, and it's for their success.
And how much, you say push, but how much of it's also pull? How much? Tell me some stories about guys who have pulled and made you guys maybe get outside the box a little bit.
Well, everybody's going to pull because it goes back to change. 15, 20 years ago, nobody had liquid on planters. And now we've got liquid on planters. Nobody had really high clearance sprayers. We had some shorter people sprayers that could get over some short crops, but now we've got stuff that can go over 12, 14 foot tall crops. So much has changed to make it easier, and we got to get an easy button where we could just tap it every now and then.
That would be nice.
Yeah, we need one of those, where we could hear it.
Yeah, we'll put that on the request sheet.
Yeah, but it's so much has changed without change. It's all been changed behind the scenes of, well, we just need to do that. It's not really knowing why we need to do that. So that's your pull people of educating themselves on where they're going. I think your ability to be goal oriented, and that's how we work with a lot of guys. Okay, what's your goal? What are you looking for? How do you want to get there? What's our means to get there? Those guys are the ones that you could help push along. I always talk about it like a ladder or stairs, just getting to the next step. Everybody wants to just be able to jump 20 feet in the air and be there. That's not how it goes. And there may be some years that we don't move up a step for whatever reason. It's like this year, guys, and had every right to be at $4 corn, were stingy on their fungicides, so they waited till they got disease to apply their fungicide, and then nobody's fungicide worked. And it's like a lot of what we take is a proactive approach. We want to build plant health ahead of when we know that the plant's going to get sick. Well, you didn't apply it in time. And so it's all a plan and all a goal and everything. So don't know if that directly answered your push and pull, but and everybody's different. You've got 20,000 different ways to push and pull. Nobody's the same.
Well, that's goes without saying. There's no two farms that are the same anywhere. But is there any particular guy who's maybe pulled more than others? We don't need specifics, but just tell me a story about someone who's made you extend out past your normal product line. Somebody who asked you a question and said, "This is what I need," that made you guys step out and learn something and do more.
Yeah, it hasn't happened quite as much recently. Years ago, 8-10 years ago, a lot of that was happening. But it's like us sitting here in the warehouse right now. We've probably got 400 or 500 different products in here, and not saying that it's specifically what someone is asking for, but it's probably in this warehouse.
Most of the big questions have been asked at this point.
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy we were working with out in Colorado that was really challenging, and
That was just personality, though.
one of the things that working with the lower sea soils, you get more responses out of some of the technology that we're using. Then going to the higher CCs, going to the calcareous soils where you're working in the higher pH, that was a challenge for us in the beginning. When I say now we are coming around that we've got companion products to go with the biological products, that was a missing link. And those companion products are supplying critical minerals and nutrients that the biology needs in that very, when I say non-conducive environment for them to really proliferate in. And we're having a whole lot greater success. So when you say, challenges, that was a pivotal point for us when we came with that key to getting the biology to work as good on the higher pH as it does, on the lower, more neutral pH and higher ECs versus the low ECs. So that was a big learning curve for us.
And looking back, do you think, man, why didn't we think of that before time? Or is that one of those things that, well, I mean, we know we're going to stub our toe whenever we go into a new area, and that's just part of the toes we stubbed.
Well, I think it's like Josh said, we've gotten better because of our product line's gotten better. Our companion products have gotten better. So it's not that our biology is bulletproof yet. We've gave it some really good companion we technology to go along with it to keep it safer, to keep it to where it performs better in those environments.
You have a high degree of confidence in your primary instruments, and now it's just giving them the tools they need to be able to work correctly.
Right.
Gotcha. So, father and son stuff, is there any particular product stuff that you guys have had disagreement on in the past, or different views on products? I know, Phillip, you had mentioned something about Josh bringing you around to needing more oxygen.
Well, sure. I mean, the thing about it is, and Mike, you have children, and a lot of farms that we work with are father, son, even grandfather involved in it. A lot of the farms that we go to, and I always encourage the younger guys. I said, don't be afraid to challenge dad, and don't be afraid to challenge grandpa. And when I said a while ago, when the teacher's ready, the student will appear. That younger farmer is a student, and if he asks the older teacher a question and it challenges that older teacher, a lot of times the older teacher will just shut it down. No, that's not the way we do things. And it could be something like foliar feeding. Oh, we tried that 25 years ago and we never saw anything. Well, the technology now that we're providing is a totally different technology than foliars were 25 years ago. It's structured differently. It's put together differently. So for that teacher to say, well, this is what the textbook says. Okay. Although that student may have a spark that pushes the teacher to say, oh, okay, I understand. We have a product that has, when I say sea minerals in it. And Josh came up with a wild idea of putting that in the seed trench. This program I just came back from last week, it helped me understand why those minerals are so important there to start helping that biology colonize on that young seedling's roots. So again, I have to give him credit for that. It's not me. So I've always said, and Mike, I'll say this, you learn from your dad. Your children have learned from you, so they've got all that lineage in them, so they should be a much higher level of intelligence than you. And that's the way I look at my children. That's the way I look at Josh. I mean, he saw all my mistakes, so hopefully he doesn't make those mistakes. And so, I saw my dad do that. That was crazy. And then he doesn't make that mistake. So that's that's my take on it. He's been a great asset, and yeah, he's got me out of the box. I mean, we're sitting here doing this podcast, so he's got me out of the box.
Introduced you to Alex Loams.
Yeah.
Who'd ever thought?
Yeah. And thank you for blindsiding me with that, Mike. If you'd have threw me out some of his stuff to let me look, listen to it or watch it, I could have been a little bit more prepared.
That would have just got shot down.
Oh.
And I'm just doing this for me at this point. You said something, Phillip, and I'm going to try to play devil's advocate here. I have a friend of mine who he's tried different things. He's done different things. And you said foliars are structured differently today than they were 25 years ago. I know you know what that means, and I know how he's going to hear that friend of mine. He's going to hear that, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's how is it structured differently? Chemistry's chemistry. Can you explain better to a guy who wants to hate it what you're trying to say in a way that he won't hear it and just automatically freeze up?
So I may have to get. I probably will ask Josh to chime in about how we're doing restructuring our water and some of the things we're doing. You use water making your micronutrients? Well, everyone in the industry does. You use water making your fertilizers? Well, everyone in the industry does.
Is it the highest quality H2O?
No, I'm going to let Josh tell you a little bit about what we're doing here at this facility that kind of puts us different. And everybody wants to say, oh, we're different. Okay, all right, whatever.
Well, if you remember on the sidelines how Bobby Boucher treated the water and then made the highest quality H2O, water is wet would be the only common theme you could look at. Water is...
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. People sometimes don't realize that. But looking at how nutrient dense it is, it's like your cheap bottle of water's got calcium, it's got chloride, fluoride, all this in it to create bottled water that we then put all this junk in our body. So how can we clean our water up is one thing that we've looked at, and make the water less nutrient dense. That way when we add a fertilizer like phosphorus, who the industry says you can't foliar apply phosphorus and see a benefit, or something like boron or any of those elements that people fight against on foliar feeding, if you free your water up where your water is not antagonistic, the plant is a lot more receptive. Are you going to drink more of Red Bull if it tastes better? If it tastes worse, you're going to drink less. That's what we're doing with the water. And then when you add the fertilizer to it, it makes it more receptive. It tastes better. Even the water that we drink, the systems that we're using now, we put those on houses. We put some on some pivots. I think you've got one on a pool. So it's making the water taste better. Yeah, I sent one to a friend in Utah. He put one on, which all that is high calcium out of, they've drilled some pretty deep wells and aquifers. Then they pumped it into city reservoirs or holding tanks. Then it goes to their house. When he put one on his house, it broke free all of the calcium that was in its pipes, all the calcification.
Plugged up all his stuff.
Plugged up everything. So he had to clean shower heads. He had to clean his faucet emitter. So looking at not creating antagonism within that, that's kind of where we're going with it. Then we've got some other additives too that just makes it taste better for the plant. So we are adding things back to it as well once we clean it up. But yeah.
And care to talk about what that is, or is that proprietary? Is that
which part?
Industry secret? Whatever you want to talk about. I mean, in my mind, the more you tell people, the better. Because otherwise, they're just going to hear you. Oh, they're hiding. They're trying to. That's all flim flam and fakery.
Well, if I tell them, then the guy down the street's going to say I've got that too, and we know that he doesn't. So
you'd rather play it close to the vest?
I would rather get the response and the effect that the producer needs by understanding what we have to bring to them, rather than saying, well, here's my checkbook, I hope you don't take my money.
Got you. Well, that's a fine line to walk, and I completely understand.
Yeah.
Well, it's a thing in the industry, Mike. Talking about from human health. I mean, there's been a lot of these water hydrogenation bottles, all of that's been sold to us, and TikTok, wherever you want to pick one up, you can pick one up. Does that help us assimilate more water into our cells? And I listened to a guy this past week, and he's a doctor, and he says we're a dehydrated society. He said you may be drinking a gallon of water a day, but your body's not assimilating it. So why not? And the same thing with the plant. I mean, we were 70 some days here without rain. And I don't understand how some of our corn made what it made. I mean, although, it did it assimilate the water better? Did some of the things we did to it offset that stress? That's a key to it. It's just like Gatorade for these athletes. If they're keeping their body hydrated, they're going to be able to perform for a longer period of time.
It's got what plants crave. Well, Phillip, talking about the USDA with Alex, talking about that, ranting about the USDA shutting down everything else. What would happen if all the government subsidies never came back? If everything just shut down tomorrow, what would happen to the industry as a whole, and what does that say about us? Maybe not us personally, but us as an industry.
Do you want me to give you the toned down version, or
no? Talk to Alex. Alex wants to know.
So the program was a program to control.
New World Order.
Yeah, and what it was designed for, and it really started back with the first federal crop insurance. We're going to, they came in, and because of the drought or whatever it was, and they said, okay, we got to keep American farmers in producing, because it's the old adage, can control the food, control the people, and we got to keep our food to economical level so the people will not revolt and will not come after us as government officials. So it was a program that was designed that other people were able to determine, okay, we know we're going to get X. We know we're going to get X number of acres of corn planted. We know we're going to get X number of acres of beans, wheat, whatever. And for us to keep our handle, for us as I'll use a government or whoever, third world order, as you want to say, Mike, for us to keep this in control, this is a way for us to do it. And talking to a lot of farmers this year, their only chance of profitability is that payment. That's not what this country was supposedly built on. This country is supposedly built on free enterprise. I think it was a measure to control. I really think that's what that is. And to keep American farmers, I will say this, to keep American farmers just above broke, that we're going to say, okay, I'm going to get the government payment and I'm going to be okay. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get the government payment. I'm going to be okay. And I think it was a control. I think it really was. It's been a means to control the producer and keep him doing what they wanted him to do.
Maliciously, or just for their own self-interest of not getting torches and pitchforks at the Capitol
Well,
steps?
I think it was their own interest. I really don't think they've done things throughout society, throughout history, that they've made us believe that they've done it for us and they've done it to protect us, and it was nothing other than to control us. And that's just plain and simple.
So what does that say about the industry, Josh?
Take off on your own idea. I don't want you to get pinned in mine. You need to be free enough to speak what's on your heart. I think that's where Oliver wanted that question to go, and that's my opinion of what's happened.
We see it trying to hire people in different aspects of our company, whether it be sales or whatever it be, is people just want to get comfortable. It's not even, I mean, you've got some people that want to knock it out of the park, but these systems have been set up to let people get just comfortable enough that they know that they've got their equivalent of a 9 to 5. They've got their guaranteed paycheck. They can have their cell phone, their car payment, their whatever else they've got, and it's just enough. You know, you've got your entrepreneurs, your guys that are going to do better than standard, but it's allowed people to be standard. Now, we'll all say we don't want to be standard, but you look at, let's take the 96 Bulls, probably the best basketball team ever. Kind of that whole 6-7 year period there, they were really good, but you have the best player, probably still the best player. I'm not a LeBron fan. He's all on his agenda, but you've got Jordan. Then you've got your standard guys, and you got the guys at the end of the bench that still got a ring, but they never played, never did anything. You know, you get a level of comfort. Hey, I'm on Jordan's team. But what did they bring to the table? They kept a seat warm. But that's kind of where I see a lot of people is they're just keeping the tractor seat warm because they don't want to do something else. They don't want to have to get out of their comfort zone. So I see a lot of that. Just my opinion.
It's okay to have an opinion. This is a safe space. So have we become the very thing that we hated? Like almost like automatons, punching a clock, taking orders from the system instead of from the soil?
It's the easy button.
That was easy.
Yeah. No people, and we hear it all the time. And I heard a guy a couple years ago that he'd tell you everything you wanted to hear, and it was almost like intentionally did the opposite. But you know, you get people that probably say they want more, just buddy talk. Hey, I make 100,000. I make 110. Well, I can make 120, and just back and forth buddy talk. But you just get that comfort level. You get that security where you know you're there. And I think nobody cares what the infrastructure looks like. Nobody sees that, you know, they're great guy that I listen to a lot on his podcast kind of goes bah a lot, if you know who that is. Ted Nugent, man. One of the best podcasts out there.
Okay.
It's great. But he, you know, throws out the sheep. You know, a lot of his is related to COVID, but it's a lot of, well, we just fall into line because it's easy. It's simple. So.
Here's my IV. This is my IV, Mike.
Help me understand.
So we talked about, you know, USDA, we talked about government payments, whatever. And I'm here in a semi-state of consciousness because I've got my IV. and it's being pumped right in my arm, and that's what's sustaining my life. I think we as American farmers need to get out of that mentality, and we need to, when I say go for, I don't want to use the word self-preservation, I would say that we're able to, sustainability's been used, all of this kind of stuff for our soils. How are we going to sustain the American farm? And so I think we need to get away from this addiction, so to speak, that we're taking responsibility. We're taking more control of our own farms, and we're saying, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do for my family. You talked about who's our customer base, who's coming to us now. And it's the farms that are understanding this, Mike. They're understanding that I'm not going to be able to sustain this. I've got a 25-year-old son coming in. He's getting ready to get married, start his family. How are we going to keep this going for another generation? Those are the guys that I think are awakening now and saying, what am I going to leave? I've got grandchildren coming on. What am I going to leave to them? Do I want them to go through what I'm going through right now, the pain I'm going through right now, all of this stuff? And those are the guys that, and when I say the last 2 to 3 years that we've worked with, that are saying, wow, we're putting in half the inputs. You guys talked about losing $217 an acre for the average corn farmer in the U.S. And so did you ask Grok that?
Yeah.
So you asked Grok. And Josh, you can talk about that if you want to. But, Grok is, if he says it, it's true, okay?
At least it sounds good when he says it.
But anyway, so if I'm going into 26 and I've just lost $200+ an acre on corn, what's my mentality? Am I going to wait for the government to help me? You hear everything, and I was listening to a guy the other day. He said, if they cut out that they're not going to subsidize ethanol, he says we're looking at $3 corn. How many of us are even thinking anything about that? Or, I mean, can we sustain at $3 corn? Not paying $400 an acre land rent. So there's got to be a change somewhere in this. And it's like Josh said, they want to see the fertilizer truck going over their field. They're sitting in a rocking chair. Yeah, they've owned this farm and their family has for 100, 200 years, whatever. And they're retired, and it's a coffee shop talk. Yeah, did you see Bob's corn? Look how green it was. And so-and-so's corn down the road, they're one of those biological guys. His corn doesn't look as good as Bob. Bob's is dark green, everything. The cosmetic effect of Bob's corn looks great. Bill's corn down the road, he's one of those, regen guys and all that kind of stuff. He's on that, natural kick or whatever. And come to find out, Josh got a call. Would you say yesterday? Mm-hmm. Got a call yesterday, and the guy had very little inputs in his crop. And yeah, the large input farmer made 10, 15 bushel more an acre. He didn't make money. This guy made money because he had very little inputs in it. So that's, I think, the transition, and that's the people who are coming to us say, hey, the system's broke, we're almost broke, how are we going to change it?
Anything to add on that, Josh, before we shift gears?
No, it's good.
Well, it turns out I'm not a professional broadcaster, Phillip. I've spent a lot of time listening to the radio, but that's about as far as it ever got. Last time I didn't think about asking anyone to contact Genesis Ag or get a hold of you guys or do anything. But thankfully, I do have some good friends who brought some ideas to me, and it started the wheels spinning. I think I'd like to start a segment called Ask Dr. Phillip, where people can just ask whatever off-the-wall weird questions, just agronomy style stuff, not weird stuff. The weird stuff's my domain. They can keep their hands off of that. But something where we can get people to ask questions that are on their mind, get an answer from Phillip and Josh Davis, so that over time we can, any questions that have been out there in the ethos, we can get your guys' thoughts on so that people can access them and listen to them and get to know you a little better. The one question I'd like to ask today for Ask Dr. Phillip is, you guys travel to a lot of farms across the United States. What's the biggest challenge you see on farms? Now, I know we've kind of talked about some of this stuff. I mean, basically everything we talked about today was challenges we face. But let's not just box it into agronomy. If you had to summarize in one subject what the biggest challenge is, what would you sum it up as? Now, that's going to be a big ask. Take your time.
I can sum it up in one word. It's belief. I said it earlier in the podcast. We've been taught a certain way. We've been taught that plants function in a certain way, that it's certain nutrients that drive yield. And so the greatest challenge is overcoming what we've been taught. And I've said this many times, it's the hardest thing for a human being, that we've been taught something from birth. Then we come to realize when we start asking questions, and did you ever ask your mom or dad questions and it got on their nerves?
Every day.
Yeah, sure. Because you're inquisitive. You want to learn. What frustrated them sometimes, I will not say always, what frustrated them sometimes, because I told you so. That was a frustrated remark because they may not have fully understood it themselves. I think we get a lot of that in the industry, that it's because I told you so. Okay, I can bulk up and I can say, this is the way you got to do it, and put my hands down on the table and do all that pose and all of that to intimidate you. That's not my style. It's just, here's the facts. And ask me the questions. If we're not asked challenging questions, we never expand ourselves. You've asked me questions in the past, Mike, and you asked some questions today that expanded me. You challenged me. I probably didn't respond. The deer in the headlight look was probably my response. I don't think we're asking the right questions in this industry. We're wanting that silver bullet that's been used over and over and over, and we're wanting, it's like this government payment to keep our head above water. Yet, are we really willing to learn what we need to learn? And I've asked this in meetings before. How many of the farmers in the room have read a book on plant physiology? How many of the farmers in the room understand the critical role of root exudates and what they do? And yet they're spending several $1 million in that farming operation annually. And they're trusting someone else. It's like Josh said, give me your checkbook. They're giving that checkbook to someone else when they need to understand. So you asked me, the biggest challenge that I find is the belief that farmer has and what they've been taught is being rock solid information.
Well, I know the segment's called Ask Dr. Phillip, but anything to add to that, Josh?
No.
I thought it summed it up pretty good.
Yeah.
And that lets us transition into our favorite time of the day, other than Alex Loam's, the lightning round. You guys did a good job last time with the lightning round. So, all right, let's find some good ones here. All right, Josh, if you could breed a fantasy crop like glow-in-the-dark mushrooms, what would it be and why?
Ooh. Golden apples. Gold's worth a lot of money right now.
Yeah, going up every day.
Well, it kind of went down the end of last week, but yeah, I think everybody cashed out of Bitcoin and bought gold and silver. That's what it looked like. But yeah, golden apples.
Golden apples are good.
Yeah.
All right, Phillip, you've been dealing with people for a long time, a lot of different people. What's the oddest home remedy that a farmer ever swore by? Like you can only spread manure in the moonlight or something like that to get better yields.
Probably looking at the moon phase and planting by the moon phase, that it has to be planted in a certain phase of the moon, and it's probably one of the most unusual.
Josh, if your favorite microbe was a superhero, what's its name and what's its superpower?
Oh, man. I mean, the thing that pops to mind would be like an azotobacter with a cape, and it poops nitrogen. I mean, yeah.
Super nitro shitter.
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
Yeah, and he didn't have a cape. He had toilet paper.
All right, Phillip. If a biostimulant could boost human traits, which one would you pick for yourself and why? Focus, stamina, or charm?
So I got those three choices.
Yep. Or you can pick another one. I don't care.
I'll probably have to say charm.
And why?
That's probably low on my attributes.
All right. Josh, if you could shrink to a microbe size to talk to Captain Azota Pooper, what's the first thing you would ask?
Honey, I shrunk the kids.
Let's see. Probably what do we do as a culture, society, a race? What do we do that hurts all of your friends? That way, if I ever go back to regular size, I could be like, hey, this is what we're doing to them. And, yeah. I could be the liaison for the microbes.
The ambassador.
Yeah.
The Azotobacter ambassador.
Yeah.
All right, Phillip, who's the worst dancer at the county fair? You or Josh?
That'd have to be me.
Josh, tell me one of Phillip's best stories as Phillip.
Best story. Man. I don't know. It's a good...
He's not here right now. It's okay. Just a safe space. You and Uncle Alex.
Recently?
Doesn't matter.
One of his texting and driving deals where he ran the corn planter into a ditch culvert and broke a row unit off of it.
No, you're just telling me about it. You got to narrate it as Phillip.
Oh, no, I found out about it after the fact, so I would have to go somewhere else.
Or just relate it like it was Phillip.
Well, he was trying to fix it by the time I found it, so he was trying to get away with it.
Phillip, if you swapped roles for a day with Josh, what's the first thing you'd mess up?
The golf game.
That was easy.
Yeah, looking back on that, I probably should have put a little more thought into that question. If you could sell fertilizer to a fictional world, Josh, who would the fictional world be, and who's your top client? Who do you sell to?
Yeah, I have no idea. Fictional's tough.
I mean, it could be Star Trek, Star Wars.
Yeah, but they've got
Lord of the Rings.
They've got replicators in Star Trek. Star Wars, they just ate the other people. Yeah,
Lord of the Rings.
they didn't eat much in those movies.
The orcs ate the elves.
Yeah. Pass.
All right. Phillip, if you could give a TED Talk as a crop, which crop are you, and what's your big deal? What's your big idea?
Well, of course, corn is catching everybody's attention. So if I was to do a TED Talk as that corn plant, I would be ranting and raving about how bad I'm treated at certain times.
Like it during certain podcasts.
Yes.
Josh, if you could turn a farm chore into an Olympic sport, what is the sport and who's winning the gold?
Hitting things with a hammer. Doesn't matter what it is.
That's not really as farmy specific, though, but we'll accept it if that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
All right, just hitting things with a hammer. So who wins? Phillip's the grand champion gold medalist at hammer swinging. Was this part of that fixing the planner story?
No. Other stories.
Very good. All right, well, I think that's probably all we have as far as lightning round questions.
Awesome.
Is there anything that we missed that you guys want to talk about? Of course, we want people to get a hold of Genesis Ag, genesisag.com, any other way that they get a hold of you.
Genesis.ag.
Or genesis.ag, whatever. They know how to get a hold of you. If they searched for you, they'd find you. People know how to do the internet nowadays.